Hattie hattie, Jolly Green here, your #1 guide to enjoying your through hike. If you've been here for a minute, you probably saw that in a batch recording of my videos, I had my tig old bitties out, and the nipples were showing. It was quite embarrassing, as I realized that people weren't watching for my hiking advice. People were enjoying the content for my tig old bitties. But it brought me to a fun concept that I wanted to talk to you about today. How if you're overweight and you think that you can't hike the Appalachian Trail, I want to talk about the hidden advantages of being a fat through hiker. I'm going to start this off with a comparison that I had with many different hikers. You can decide what camp you're in, but there are only two kinds of Appalachian Trail through hikers. There were people like me who can eat all that they really want to, eat until they're full, and pack the foods that are delicious. I went out there with my big old tum-tum and was hiking miles and losing weight and feeling great about myself, as I had lost 70 pounds while I was through hiking the Appalachian Trail. But then there's the other kind of person. Those people that said, if I lose 5 pounds, I'm gonna die. So today we're gonna be talking about how you're not too fat to hike the Appalachian Trail, and you might be too skinny. We're gonna go over the hidden advantages of being a fat through hiker. A lot of people worry about if they're going to be physically fit enough to hike the Appalachian Trail, but I'll tell you this. One of the best ways that you can prepare for it is you gotta gain a few pounds. Give yourself that caloric buffer so that you can lose weight and be so proud of it rather than losing weight and dying. Now, as a person, I had always been a big kid. I had always been overweight. And literally as long as I can remember, even in elementary school, I was always a tubby kid. And this was something that I had been self-conscious about for most of my life. However, after hiking the Appalachian Trail, I saw fat as the evolutionary superpower that it is. Fat is the original emergency fund. You see, whenever we have excess energy, it gets stored as fat. Humans, for 99% of our existence, lived in a time where food is scarce and hard to come by. And so fat is able to store way more energy than muscles, bone, blood, any other part of the body. By having this layer of fat, you are giving yourself a huge advantage to your own survival. 1 pound of fat contains about 3,500 calories in it. That is more than what most people need to eat in a day. However, whenever you're through hiking the Appalachian Trail, I was spending about 6,000 to 10,000 calories a day. It gets to the point where it becomes very difficult just to get enough calories to even sustain yourself. But by having that nice big old buffer, you are able to hike more comfortably. And sure, you might be going slower at the beginning, but whenever the miles start going, it becomes highly important to make sure that you've got that buffer. And so I was very grateful that I had my big old belly buffer. That has become one of my biggest pieces of advice for anyone that wants to through hike the Appalachian Trail or do any kind of long distance hike, is you got to build a belly. Boo, boo. You've got to get these tiggle man bitties. While we do live in an age where people are becoming too fat, and it has been seen as something to be self-conscious about, never forget the evolutionary advantage that you have. And whenever you're doing one of these survival situations and going to be pushing yourself to the extreme, if speed isn't a factor, then you might as well be able to hike comfortably. Before you hike the Appalachian Trail, make sure you gain some weight, and remember the advantages of being a fat through hiker. You get to eat as much as you like, not as much as you need to. You don't have to have as much anxiety about what it is that you're eating. And 3, you've got that built-in insurance policy in case anything bad does happen. Think about all those people that would love to stay another day in a shelter, but simply can't because they don't have enough food to survive and not make it to the town by the end of the day. But that won't be you, because you followed the fantastic advice of the Jolly Green team. Remember, no one is ever too fat to hike the Appalachian Trail. You're just too fat to hike it fast, but you are hiking it safer.